November 24th, 1971 or so, a man in a dark suit carrying a black briefcase walks calmly into Portland International Airport. He gives his name as Dan Cooper and buys a one-way ticket to Seattle for just $20. Hours later, this ordinary passenger will hijack a Boeing 727, demand $200,000 in ransom, and parachute into the night, never to be seen again. This was not just a crime, it became America's greatest unsolved mystery. For more than 5 decades, the name D.B. Cooper has haunted the FBI, inspired books, films, and countless theories, and raised one impossible question. How did one man outsmart the entire U.S. government and vanish without a trace? To understand, we must travel back to the early 1970s, a turbulent time in American history. The Vietnam War was raging, public trust in government was collapsing, and commercial air travel was exploding in popularity. Security was almost non-existent. No metal detectors, no identification checks. Anyone could walk to the gate with cash, a cigarette, and a suitcase. Skyjackings were common. Between 1968 and 1972, more than 130 hijackings occurred in the United States. Most hijackers wanted to go to Cuba, but one man had a different plan, one so audacious and perfectly executed that it would baffle investigators for half a century. It is Thanksgiving Eve, 1971. A man in his mid-40s, dressed in a dark suit and tie, approaches the counter at Northwest Orient Airlines. He is calm, polite, and soft-spoken. He books a seat on Flight 305 to Seattle under the name Dan Cooper. At 2:50 p.m., the flight departs Portland, a short hop of just 30 minutes with 36 passengers and 6 crew members. He sits in seat 18E near the rear of the plane. He orders a bourbon and soda, lights a cigarette, and quietly opens his briefcase to show the flight attendant a glimpse of wires and red sticks. He says calmly, "Miss, I have a bomb, sit down beside me." He hands her a note demanding $200,000 in cash, 4 parachutes, and a fuel truck waiting in Seattle. If his demands are not met, he will detonate the bomb. Word reaches the cockpit. The captain contacts air traffic control within minutes. The FBI and airline management are on the phone. Cooper's behavior is oddly composed. He is polite, never raises his voice, and even pays for his drink. He instructs the pilots to circle Seattle until the ransom is ready. After 2 hours, as night falls, police deliver $200,000 in $20 bills and 4 parachutes. At 5:45 p.m., Flight 305 lands at Seattle-Tacoma. Cooper releases all passengers unharmed but keeps 4 crew members on board. He inspects the money carefully and gives new orders. Fly south toward Mexico City at 10,000 feet, landing gear down, cabin lights dimmed, and rear stairs lowered. When warned this is dangerous, he replies, "Don't worry about it, I'll take care of it." At 7:40 p.m., the Boeing 727 takes off into a cold, stormy night. Rain lashes the fuselage as the jet crosses southern Washington. A warning light flashes. The rear stairs have been opened. At 8:13 p.m., the aircraft suddenly pitches upward as if weight has left the tail. Then silence. When the plane lands in Reno at 10:15 p.m., the stairs are still down and the cabin is empty. D.B. Cooper and the money are gone. He has vanished into the storm. Within hours, the largest manhunt in FBI history begins. Hundreds of agents comb forests, rivers, and mountain valleys along the flight path. They find nothing. No parachute, no body, no money. Interviews with the crew reveal the same description. Calm, intelligent, courteous, professional. He seemed to know aircraft specifications, flight patterns, and the 727's unique rear stair mechanism. Was he ex-military, a pilot, a CIA operative? No one knows. Days turn to months, months to years, and the mystery only deepens. In 1980, nearly a decade later, a young boy named Brian Ingram discovers 3 bundles of cash buried along the Columbia River. The bills total $5,800 and match the ransom serial numbers exactly. Finally, a clue. But it raises more questions than it answers. How did the money travel miles from the supposed drop zone? Did Cooper die in the jump, or did he survive and plant the money to mislead investigators? No one can say. Over time, suspects multiply. Richard McCoy, a Vietnam veteran, hijacks a plane in 1972 using an almost identical method and is later killed in a shootout with police. Kenneth Christensen, a former flight attendant with military background, seems promising, but evidence is thin. Some claim Cooper was a Boeing engineer who knew the plane's design. Others insist he was a rogue intelligence officer. Even a woman, Barbara Dayton, a transgender pilot, once confessed to being Cooper before retracting her story. Each lead fades into uncertainty. So what really happened that night? If Cooper survived, he would have landed in freezing rain and pitch darkness over the rugged forests of southwestern Washington. He wore a business suit, loafers, and no protective gear. The terrain was brutal, steep hills, icy rivers, thick pine. Many experts believe survival was impossible, yet others argue his calm confidence proves military training. If he lived, where did he go? Did he bury the money, start a new life under another name? Decades later, there is still no body, no confirmed trace. In 2016, after 45 years, the FBI finally closes the case. They admit defeat. The trail is too cold, the clues too faint, the man too clever. D.B. Cooper enters legend, the last great American outlaw, a symbol of defiance against authority and the unknown. Today, his story endures in pop culture. Films, television, and music reference him endlessly. There is a D.B. Cooper Day in Washington state. Collectors trade replicas of the ransom money. Online sleuths debate new theories every week. Cooper represents something timeless, the individual who slips through the cracks of a powerful system and disappears into myth. In many ways, D.B. Cooper was the analog version of today's digital criminals. He did not hack a computer, he hijacked a jetliner. And half a century later, the pattern repeats. Each generation finds new ways to challenge the system, to test its limits, to vanish into data instead of clouds. Cooper reminds us that mystery itself is irresistible. Sometimes the unanswered question is what keeps a story alive. So what can we learn from the legend of D.B. Cooper? At first, even the most perfect crime leaves traces, but not always solutions. Second, human curiosity never dies. We are driven to seek meaning even when it eludes us. And third, legends often reveal more about the people who tell them than about the events themselves. Because deep down, every society needs its ghost, and D.B. Cooper became America's. If you enjoyed exploring this mystery, remember to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. The next story might already be waiting above the clouds.